Oh, I did God almighty. I did this thing called the 24-hour play, and because I don't really read small print, it wasn't that, the print wasn't that small, to be honest. I mean, it did say 24-hour play, so the clue was in the title, in that we did a play in 24 hours and put it on Broadway in front of a paying audience. And so that was sort of terrifying. It was kind of like being a trapeze artist with no net. But there were 6 writers and 6 directors and 6 casts. And we all met on a Sunday night in Manhattan at the... Is it the Manhattan Coast Club? No, not right. They were all, don't quote me ever. Most of it's nonsense. But so anyway, so the whole cast and crew and production met on a Sunday night, and you had to bring a prop, and you had to bring a piece of costume, and you also had to say something that you were really talented at, right? And it was quite daunting because this was sort of like all of the kind of Manhattan theatre community there and me. And I was sort of like a newbie, and I was a bit nervous, and there was lots of faces around that massive horseshoe that had gathered that I knew, so I was sort of a bit daunted and very impressed. And anyway, I was second man up, right? And so I got up and I brought a toilet plunger as my prop. It was clean, it was new. And you had to put everything in the middle, right? So by the end of it, like this huge pile of props and costumes, right? Anyway, so I put that there, and then I had some nasty little fun fur gorilla thing that I worn to death that I kept finding in the trash can because my husband kept putting it in the bin. Anyway, so I dug that out of the bin again, and I stuck that down there as well. And then you have to say something that you've never done on stage before. And I said, well, I've never been tasteful. And so then by the end of it's like an hour that felt endless, and there's this huge pile of sort of visual cues and verbal cues that has given the 6 writers inspiration to then write a play through the night. All us actors and clowns, /actors/clowns, are sent home for the night, and then we have to come back at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're given our casts, like we're given our company, we're split into 6 different companies, and given our plays that have just been written the night before, literally. And then we rehearse all day, and then put it on stage at night. And then my manager, who's adorable, came running up to me and he's like, you're on first. Like it was a good thing. I was like, okay. But it was great, it was fantastic. It was really good. It was like I've been doing a lot of television recently, so it was like a big theatrical slap in the face. Pulled me up, and yeah, it was phenomenal, actually.
So other than television, you've done a couple things, one of the hardest things that actors do. Shakespeare and stand-up comedy.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about your experience doing each of those, and just talk about those a little bit.
Well, the Shakespeare came before the stand-up, and the stand-up was really like kind of once and done, but we'll get to that. No, the Shakespeare was when I was doing a show called Green Wing at the time. And it was a lot of fun, and that was an experiment. That was like there was some money left over in the tax year, and I don't know if you guys know this, right, but if there's any money left over in the budget in a creative entity like this one, which was Channel 4, you have to spend it, otherwise you don't get that money again the next year, right? They say, well, you didn't use it, so you didn't need it, but that's not necessarily the case. So they basically got a bunch of actors, I was one of them, stuck us in a room with some writers, and like hothoused us for a couple of months, really, and we were just like pissing about. and we cobbled together, well, the writers did, because they're very talented, but after days and days and weeks of improvisation, they managed to pull together this brilliant show called Green Wing, which was an experiment, and it was just to go on the air and then come off again. But it caught, like sometimes there's a little bit of magic in the room, and it ended up being a great show, and it was very fresh and new, and it was very different and edgy, and we basically, we ran 2 full seasons, which is as many seasons as you ever really run in Britain, because that's kind of how Britain is. And we also run out of people to insult. So we kind of done that. But Green Wing was really one of the reasons why I was afforded the opportunity to do Kate in Taming of the Shrew for the Royal Shakespeare Company. And, you know, my education wasn't great, mainly because I'm very lazy. And but I didn't go to a great school, but anyway, that's by the by. But basically, I wasn't really into reading much, which has changed, children. Reading's great. And look, so anyway, I was asked to meet up and talk about and playing Kate in Taming of the Shrew, and this is how badly read I am. I asked my agent, "Is Kate a good part?" Anyway, and then I was like, right, well, I better read it. And it was Shakespeare, I was like, oh. And so but what I did do was I learned the final speech before I went in to meet, right? But they were offering me the part, which I kept thinking somebody else's, I always think somebody else has walked into the room except me, right? And they're like, no, we'd like to offer you the part. And I was like, well, you don't know if I can do it or not. And they said, well, sure you can do it. I was like, well, I don't know if I can do it. So I'm going to do the speech, right? So I stood up and did the whole bloody speech, right? Which was nonsense, because I hadn't really quite got my head around Shakespeare, so God knows what I was saying, right? But I got to the end of it, and I was like, right, do you want me to do it now? And they went, yes. And I was like, all right. But thankfully, if you're at the Royal Shakespeare Company, that's an education in itself, you know. There are a lot of words to get your mouth around. And you have to really know, any great Shakespearean production takes you past the language, which is English. But when you know why you're saying what you're saying, you can be speaking any language and it's still a great production. And where the Royal Shakespeare Company's strength is that, you know, you're immersed in that world, and so by the end of it, by the time you're standing in front of a paying audience, you know why you're saying what you're saying, and even if, as an audience member, especially as, you know, it's a lot of children are exposed to these amazing productions, and if the intent is there, at the very least, you get the meaning across. So that was my Shakespeare experience, which seemed to go quite well. Because they asked me back, and I said no. And then I ended up doing, by accident, I ended up doing some stand-up, which I was really pissed off one night. I really was. I just had a kid and I was like, what? How am I going to do this? And I was like 9 months in, and I'd said when I got pregnant it was straight after Kate played in the Tingle of the Shrew. I was like, what? I better go and have a chat with that. I was 42 and I completely forgotten to have children. I was like, oh, bloody hell, I better go get one of them then. And then this doctor said, well, you can't! Because nothing works in there. And I was like, I'll show you. So I had one, and very lovely. Great kid. And then it was like 9 months in, and I was like, you know, if you've ever had kids, like your brain is melting and you're and my husband came home and I was like, I'm going in the car. And I got in the car and he said, where are you going? I was like, I don't know. Change the diapers. And I ended up on Sunset Boulevard. And we were living in LA at the time, so it wasn't that far away. And there was a comedy store and I was like, oh, I remember that. And I went in there and there was some stand-up going on. And that made me angry too. And I've been doing this thing called some like comedy clinic thing by, I think it's Jeremy Conway or something. Anyway, and I went in and I had felt like I had things to say, mainly about being a Scottish Mexican coming across the border pregnant. And so I did it one night, and some guy filmed it on YouTube, and then they offered me the main stage to play the main stage. I said, I'm a classically trained actress. No stand up. I'll be there on Friday.
So let's talk about Missy a little bit. What did you find easy about the role, and what did you find maybe not so easy?
Well, the thing that was easy about it was that it was written by Stephen Moffat. That made my life very easy. Because I literally, you know, I just had to say it and go. And I could put on that costume, and a lot of work was done for me by other people, you know, by the costume department, by hair and makeup, by always, if the script is good, the actor really doesn't have to work that hard. And also what happened very quickly was that Stephen, he knew me, and he knew my voice, and so he was really racing to my strengths. You know, if it was, the part was, for me, if the part had been a button-nosed ingenue, you know, there's some wilting like lettuce in the background, I probably would have had to struggle with that. That would have been a challenge. But because it was, you know, a large-nosed witch with a Scottish accent, a wee bit chippy with really frizzy hair, that wore a purple costume, then the work was done for me. You know? So that was the other thing that made it easy for me was having Peter Capaldi as my doctor. You know, decided at the end of his reign that was the end of my reign. You know, I'm not prepared to be somebody else's doctor. I mean, it's out now. And no, I'm not prepared to be anybody else's master because I couldn't, unless of course it's a Christmas special and Missy needs to come up and bitch slap Joe Musica, maybe. Nothing against Jodie, she's a lovely girl. So that made it easy for me, and having Rachel Talalay direct most of my episodes. turn anything into magnificence. There's not a lot of money in the Doctor Who world, and that woman's imagination makes a lot happen. And she's going to be directing some of Sabrina.
Last year we had Ingrid Oliver, and she said that she really enjoyed watching you and Peter work together because she said that any scene that she watched you play, you did it a little bit different each time. And I was going to ask, how much room you have to do any kind of improvisation. Obviously that was before. And how much of that is a good director allowing that to happen?
Well, that's where working with somebody like Rachel really gives you confidence. There's many brilliant directors in Doctor Who, and she's my particular favourite because I work mostly with her. And she, I was nervous that first go round. I was nervous the first day. I was sort of terrified and I couldn't quite believe that I was standing on the Doctor Who set. And she's very overt in how she enjoys a performance. She gives you that support, and when you get that, you start kind of playing up to a little bit, and then things, little bits of magic happen. You're free to play, and that's, I think, the most important thing in getting a good performance out of any actor. Not to feel buttoned up or that you're in a machine where you have to sort of, behave in a certain way. She just let me go, and at no point did she ever say pull it back or be dignified.
This is a little technical, but did she film with multiple cameras that would give you the ability to kind of move in space in different ways? Did you have to block it really tight and then improvise from that?
No, we would rehearse. We would loosely rehearse and get a shape at the beginning of each scene, and once we were all happy with that, then the crew were allowed in, invited in, the camera crew would come in, the DOP would come in, and they would start to lock down the shots, and they would really work around us. We never felt that we were sort of technically limited. So sometimes it would be, depending what it was, there would be some locked off shots around us maybe, or there might be somebody on a steady cam really fluidly moving and dancing with us. That would happen quite a lot. So there was a lot of cooperation between the technical and the creative. Everybody was sort of building it together. So it was really very free, actually.
Did it surprise you about the character? In any of the scripts where there are kind of some turns that surprise you?
What you mean when I fell in love with myself as a man? No, there was she was always so unpredictable, and then some of that was on the page and some of that was just me pissing about. But I think that's what the beauty of that character was, was the unpredictability. And, thankfully, the likability as well. I quite like to be her friend. I wouldn't get too close, but that's when Jenna Coleman and I had a lot of fun because, that really sung. Those passages really worked because you could tell that we really enjoyed just playing with each other, and then I just took them home. I was bored, and so that she's just this delicious construct of what I think a lot of us would like to be or behave, and we can't, because and with her it's I don't know, she just kind of gets away with it.
One thing I'll say about your interpretation of character is that the Master never made a lot of sense to me in a certain way. It's almost like a pantomime villain. And I didn't get it. He had these elaborate plans that always went wrong, always very elaborate. Doctor always defeated him. I couldn't figure it out. But what he brought to it was kind of it's almost like he was best friend, brother, lover, something, trying to get the attention. It's a damaged person trying to get the attention by doing damaging things. And for a lot of people I talked to, a lot of fans, that really resonated with them. And what resonated was, do you give up on a person like this? And the whole arc of Peter Capaldi trying to save this character led to a moment when Missy was walking away, John Sebastian was walking away, a big speech took place. And my question to you is, when do you think was the moment that Missy maybe changed that perspective? And did she?
I think it's good for us not to know that, right? I think that's what life is. I think like we only know so much more will be revealed, and with that, it keeps us engaged and curious, and there's nothing about the master, my interpretation or my playing of the master, that you could neatly wrap up in a little parcel and just put it in a box and move on. I think she's always going to box is always going to be pulsing, and she's going to brush it. So I think in terms of drawing that parallel with who we are or what we are on this universe or what life is, it's almost like she stands for all the bigger questions that cannot and will never be answered. She also, for me, stood for hope, and hope in never giving up on a person, and hope that there will be change. And I know there's a lot of people out there in the world that believe that people can't change. I completely disagree with that. And I think if we hang on to that, then we all get a chance to be a better version of ourselves, and we don't get to just sort of sit back and go, well, this is who I am, I'm a shit, and that's how it is. It's like, well, do we want to do something about that? We all have a choice, right? And so I think if you should sum her up, what would she stand for? Weirdly, even though she is the Queen of Darkness, there is hope.
Let's hear what you're saying. Do we have microphone? Let's raise your hand and throw a question out.
Oh, it's like the end of a disco. It's not in that. What was that guy walking with him? With Johnson? Yeah, what was the guy walking with him? It was a pain. The thorn in my side. No, it was wrong. It was very wrong. It was just so wrong. Am I falling in love with myself? As an acting challenge, it was kind of brilliant as well, because without really having to discuss it much, John and I just became the half of one another that made the whole. And it worked. It worked for us. And I think it was just, and again, it was a lovely surprise, that none of us had ever, you wouldn't imagine that. Like, none of us thought Johnson was going to come back, and certainly not the other half of me. It was great. It was good. As long as he just, behaved, it was fine.
Did you do any research into the master or the character beforehand to look at any of the previous, like Anthony Ainley or Roger Delgado?
No, absolutely not. No, to be honest, I mean, I knew who came before me, and then I really quickly put that out of my head. I don't know quite how consciously I did that, but I think somehow I knew that it wouldn't be helpful to focus on what other people had done before me. And and know that, you know, I wasn't necessarily going to be wearing the pants, but I would be wearing the skirt. And what was I gonna? How was I gonna do that? I don't know, you know. But I just didn't want to get caught up on what went before. I wanted to respect what went before, but do something completely different. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi. I think the hardest thing for me about Missy dying was that the doctor didn't know that she turned back. I was wondering if you could speak to that.
Yeah, I know this is the thing. It's like she brought everything. You know, she brought every emotion that we can feel as human beings. You know, and with that, you know, it's kind of heartbreaking. Because what she gave the audience was that moment of no. Oh, she is good. She has changed. And but again, you know, if he had been there to witness that, then it's like, okay, we're done. You know, it doesn't give us anywhere to go, and it's too neat. Yeah, it is. It's just, it would have been too sort of, you know, I don't know, clean, and she's not.
Hi. Out of all of the Doctor Who episodes you were in, which one would you say was the hardest for you as a actress?
It is the one where, because I wouldn't describe any of my experience in the Doctor Who world as ever being hard, right? However, there was one day emotionally where I, Michelle, sort of lost my shit a little bit. You'd never have known. But I knew it was like my last time that I was going to look into those big, crazy, amazing, watery blue eyes, and pizzas, and those fabulous eyebrows. And it was the scene, it was when, and it was just before the speech about being kind. You know, where he really talks about that being the most important thing as an individual and as a sort of community of people that we call human beings, right, to find our kindness. And I, Michelle, you know, was like really resonating with me as a person, and, you know, still trying to feel kind of, you know, messy about it, you know, but I was sobbing. I was so distraught, you know, because I knew that was it. Like, every now and again as an actor, I've been very lucky, you know, to have these perfect moments in my career. Green Wing was one of them, and there was another show called Book Group, and, you know, I've had these amazing characters that just that give me, Michelle, a vocabulary that I never had before. I was never able to articulate before, right? And then a writer comes along and I get to play it out, I get to play my demons out through my roles. And that I found hard, to sort of turn that off and get back into Missy. It was deeply sad, and so I'm so happy to see him here today. It was brilliant.
It was. And there's a reaction shot that Rachel got that looks, your face looks like you've just been hit with a Mack truck, emotional. And the eyes look so wet, but they're not tearing. And so it came out. I think it worked. I mean, you're probably miserable at that moment.
It was pissing the rain, it was very cold.
Right over.
Oh yeah, hi.
Which of the sonic screwdrivers is your favorite and why?
I actually think Missy should just have all of them, and it should just be extensions of her fingers. She should always have her left hand, should always be in her handbag. Fire. Yeah, I can't choose from a diplomacy point of view.
That's it?
was your favorite episode to film?
Well, the one where I pissed Clarence out the You know what? Like that was just like, we tagged that on to the end of the day, right? I mean, we're filming for like 12 solid hours, right? And then 11 hours and 55 minutes in, the AD runs up to me and says, Michelle, can you just put Christiana down the hole? And I was like, yeah. But I also loved the episode when Jenna and I were in Tenerife. We're up a volcano, and that was kind of bizarre for lots of reasons.
Hi, honey. I was just curious. What do you think Missy's reaction would have been if she ever ran into River Song?
I ran into River Song last week and doing a Big Finish audio book.
I think that's a scoop.
And so that's coming out soon, and I think I think 4 of them or something. Anyway, it's very, very funny, and I kind of rip her. It's not pretty. I come out just fine.
Well, now the cat's out of the bag.
I don't know. I'm like dropping spoilers all over the place. It's K4, isn't it? You heard it here first.
That's good. Next question.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Did you have a choice to be Missy?
It was destiny. Well, I mean, I'm an actor, and I'll take what I can get. But in that series, that one coming up, I don't know if this is old news, but I was offered another part, and I couldn't do it because I couldn't physically get there because I don't have a TARDIS. And so anyway, I thought like I'm never gonna ask again. Like I was devastated that I couldn't do it, and I have a repeat button if any of you heard this. Do I press it? And so anyway, so I wrote Stephen a letter saying, oh my God, I can't believe I can't be there.